So I've got here a 7002 for comparison with the SKX009, and that's just for comparison purposes, but you'll see why I've left it there in a bit when we start to talk about the bezel insert. So next up, you're going to want to remove your bezel, and for that, people normally use a combination of a bezel removal tool or a case back removal tool. Now, any narrow-edged tool would do just fine. Just be careful not to scratch your case. You probably want to tape your case up if you're not as confident. In my case, I'm just using one of my spare SKXs, so I'm not too concerned about that. So one of these flat edge tools would be perfect. Or what is quite common is also these red case back tools that have got a slight bevel edge. I've seen people use anything from a kitchen knife to tools that you find in your regular toolbox. The point is to gradually open a tiny little gap around the bezel. So you see that it's already separating a little bit, and you want to gently work your way around the bezel bit by bit so you do not accidentally bend a bezel out of shape. Slow and steady does it, one little gap at a time. And when you're satisfied that you've got enough space for your bezel removal tool, slot it in, give it a slight twist, and it should pop right off. Now you want to make sure that you do not touch the insides of your crystal, and that's the reason why I've got gloves on. Well, typically people would use latex gloves or finger cords of any style. The important thing is not to get the oils from your fingers or any dust that you might have on your hands or your skin into the glass. Now, you want to be sure not to lose the bezel click spring. This is what gives the bezel its clicks, its signature sounding clicks, and its single direction rotation as well. You will find that your bezel has two of these tips that are bent upwards and backwards slightly. That's what gets you your clicking sound. And over time, if someone has tried to turn the bezel clockwise too hard, it might have been bent out of shape. So you can always get a replacement, or you can try to reshape it slowly. And these are the two little feet that hold it to the case that prevents it from free spinning around. And there you have it. All that's left is the crystal and the chapter ring. Now for crystals, I found that this red color crank type case seems to be the best balance in terms of stability, even pressure, and without breaking the bank. So it allows you to remove your crystals as well as to put on a new crystal, and it comes with a black rotating crank that you have got on top, a rotating knob. By default, it comes with two little metal dies, but I prefer to use the plastic ones so as to avoid scratching your crystal. And you want to make sure that you're using the right size dies. So select the two that are suitable for the job you want to do. In my case, I'm using the 40mm for the bottom die to collect the crystal as it pops out, and the smaller 24 or 26mm to avoid catching on the chapter ring. Alright, so you just want to make sure that the top die that you're using is not going to snag on the chapter ring and risk damaging it in any way. So you want to position your watch case right in the middle. Even pressure, turning slowly, making sure the top die doesn't catch the chapter ring as it comes down. Slowly twist until you get a terrifying but satisfying pop, and your crystal's out. So crank counterclockwise and the top die moves up. And there you have it. You have your case and your chapter ring with the crystal removed. I generally try to avoid handling the crystals with bare hands. There are always going to be some bits of oil or grease or skin on your fingertips. And you can see here that you have got your crystal gasket. Now you want to make sure that you remember which side faces up, because there's just that very little slight lip that you've got. Remove your chapter ring. And then we move on to the bezel. Now you can see here that there is a bezel gasket. Some people choose to use a thicker or thinner gasket. It's a frequent complaint that, oh, you know, my bezel's spinning a little bit too easily or it's too difficult. Make sure you get the right size and make sure you have it greased properly as well. Now I'm not going to remove that gasket today because this is something that I want to reuse. I'm going to show you the bezel from my 7002. Similar sized bezel insert, just marginal differences, but it comes on and comes off in pretty much the same way. Just use a thin, sharp tool to gently work your way around the bezel insert and it should come off pretty easily. Now you want to make sure that you are applying gentle pressure, because if your insert is aluminium, it might bend pretty easily, and if it's ceramic, it might be a little bit brittle. So on the reverse side of your insert, you might find some tape residue or some hypocement residue depending on how it was placed on. So that's all your parts disassembled. You've got your dowel, your movement, and your crown, and the hands. You've got your case back, bezel with the bezel insert, and the gasket still inside, case back gasket, bezel click spring, your case, chapter ring, crystal gasket, and crystal. Now if you found all this useful, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And there you have it, all your parts laid out. If you like more detailed videos, just let me know in the comments or chat with me on Instagram at ModModeWatches. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time as I'll be pumping out more videos in the near future.